Okay, now, if Brandon will pan around, if you look, you could recognize this as part of the second half of my isolation session. Now, I mentioned earlier that we believe that this room was for sorting coal, but we're unsure. And the reason we're unsure is, you can see these concrete foundations here. Now, this is the old timber, this is the original timber. And up above, you'll see coal chutes where coal would have came down here. And one of the reasons, like I said, we're unsure that it was for processing and we're sorting coal is because over in that corner, you might have to walk over there to show them, Brandon, but in that corner you can see the remnants of a coal stove, okay? And the hole in the second level would have been used to draw heat up. So this particular building may have been, again, for management, for the workers or the people who work for the DL&W. And I'm kind of leaning towards that as being what this particular building was. Now, the upper half of this building is gone. It is totally collapsed. There's nothing left of it. As again, you'll see, there's a set of stairs there. Brandon, if you walk over here a little bit. All right. You'll see that there's portions of the concrete that have collapsed. Now, this portion of the building is safe. The second floor is not. And like I said, if you come here to do an investigation, you're gonna find that there are a lot of spots that you can go that are safe. And when I say safe, they're nominally safe because there's a lot of rebar that's hanging down. There's rebar that's sticking out. And that if you're not aware that it's there, if you come here late and you don't do a walkthrough to familiarize yourself with this property, you could end up with a serious injury. Now, Devin, if you'd like, give them an account from one of our former investigations, what happened to them.
Now, back when we were here, I was over in this back corner right here, and I was taking EMF and fluctuations in the temperature, and while I was over here, the temperature dropped. It went from like 10, 15 degrees, it dropped to. And I also got EMF from in this corner, and I followed it from there down to that corner, and then it disappeared. So there's no electricity in this building, and we couldn't figure out what could have caused that.
Right, I mean, we did have the temperature fluctuations. Right now, the ambient temperature in here is probably, I would probably say in the 60s, whereas outside right now it's probably in middle 70s, upper 70s. It's humid. It's particularly cool in here. That particular evening, though, on the investigation, we had a drop in temperature of anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees, and also we had some spikes in EMF. And he traced them, and eventually they just dissipated. Can you say it's paranormal? It's possible. Could have just been an anomaly? Absolutely. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to continue on. One more thing I want to mention. On the second half of my isolation session, if you're listening to the track, I asked, can anybody tell me where Shoemaker is at? Now, Shoemaker was this individual's nickname. His name was Willie Williams. And I asked, can anybody tell me where Shoemaker is at? And you can hear a faint response, and it says, behind you. Now, it's faint, and I believe I posted in the content that if you listen to it with earbuds, you'll be able to hear it a little bit more clearly. So that's what I would recommend, but it is a faint response, but you can hear behind you. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go down to the last remaining building that is here, and the building that we're going to is what we believe to be the fan house. Now, the fan house was erected after the fire of 1869, and we're also iffy on if in fact that was the fan house, and we'll show you why when we get there. Okay? Okay, we're at the last building that still stands at this site. Now, this is the building that I mentioned may have been the fan house, but there are also reasons why we don't believe it was the fan house, and we're going to take you inside and we're going to show you why we don't believe that this was the fan house. Okay, just watch your head and watch the collision items. Okay. You got a clear picture of me, Brandon?
Yep.
I don't know if you can. We
Yeah,
would
you're
have
good.
used IR light in here, but the problem with that is you got daylight coming in, you got the shadow, so basically what it does is just diffuses the IR and you get nothing but a fuzzy picture. Now, as I said before, if you come here to investigate, I'm going to show you something. If you pan back around here, you can see the head height for these entryways into these buildings. Well, this building in particular is quite low. So you definitely want to get here early enough to scout out this location. And like I said, you can see the rebar sticking out. So there are areas where you really need to be careful. Now, okay, now we've spoken with historians and people who know the mining industry, and some of them say that this was the fan house, and others don't. You can see with the flashlight, you can see this metal cylinder here, and it goes around. It's quite large. It goes around. Now, as I said, we're not sure if this was the fan house, and part of the reasons we don't believe that it was the fan house is, if you'll pan up, Brandon, if you look directly above your head, I don't know if you're getting that. You getting that?
Yep.
Okay, you can see what appears to be a hoist. And that's part of the reason why we don't believe that this was the fan house. We believe that this was an area where they processed coal. The other side of this building is identical to this one. It has a hoist on the other side. Out here, you'll notice two large chutes, and there's also some heavy I-beams that are there. And again, that's part of the reasons why we don't believe that this was, in fact, the fan house. Now, if you pan up there too, you can see a hole. And now, more than likely, coal was probably dropped down through that hole. And there may have been a conveyor here. I couldn't tell you if there was or not, because if it was, it's long gone. But also up there's a lot of reinforced steel. So we believe that this building was used for processing and sorting coal, and then shipped out to destinations for consumption. We're going to walk around. We're going to show you the other side, and just to give you an idea of what you're going to encounter if you decide to come here and do an investigation. Again, watch your head. Watch the poison ivy. Again, over here, you're going to see I'm going to stop right here. Now you can see how low I have to duck to walk through this opening. Again, you got metal rebar sticking out. Okay. Now, here you see this hole. And what that was for a section of reinforced steel, an I-beam. And there's what remains of the I-beam. And that's, again, why we believe that this was for processing. And again, up above his head is another remnant of a hoist. Now, if you look at this building, it's built with red brick. And that I don't know, that kind of tells us that this was built later. Even the field historians that we spoke with agree that this was built after 1869, after the mine fire. We'll walk out here for you again, a closer look. Brandon, if you'd like, you could step right out there and give them a closer look.
Yeah. Just a lot of debris.
Yeah, a lot of people come here just to see the site. I wouldn't guess they do it to do any kind of paranormal investigations here, just to see the site. Okay, now we're going to walk out and we're going to show you the back side of this location, and we're going to show you some of the dangers that you're going to encounter here if you decide to do an investigation. There's definitely, you don't want to take chances here. Watch your head. Okay. All right, now if you'd give me the camera, Brandon.
There you go.
All right. Okay, now you can see I'm getting a little bit of lens flare, okay? You can see portions of the concrete that are hanging down. Now that portion of concrete that's hanging there is only held by real thin rebar. It's more like Durawall than anything. Okay, now I'm going to walk up here and I'm going to step inside. I don't recommend you investigate this particular area of this building. You can see that it's in pretty bad condition. You know, you got all kinds of hidden dangers, particularly if you get to this location late and you don't do a walkthrough. Now, as I said earlier, you can see there's only little tiny pieces of what looks to be Durawall. You can see it. You can see it right here. That's basically what's holding that. You can see that this whole portion right now, I'm just barely touching it and it's moving.